Hello, my name is Isabel and I would like to welcome you all to our webinar today. In a few minutes, I will be extending my colleague Edgar Gressel a warm welcome. He has prepared the topic Enhancing Efficiency and Finding Top Talent for you today. A little more information for you before we start. You will be muted during the webinar, but are welcome to ask questions about your GoToWebinar in the questions box at any time. After the webinar, we will take the time to answer them. You can look forward to an interesting presentation. Welcome, Edgar Gressel. Now I hand over the microphone.
Hello and welcome from my side as well. My name is Edgar and I'm the host for today's webinar with the topic Recruiting with ELO, Enhancing Efficiency and Finding Top Talents. But before we start, let's have a look on the agenda, with the points which will await us today. So first of all, we'll have a look at the typical recruiting process. So every company has its own recruiting process, but overall, it's always the same. You have a typical recruiting process in a company. Then we'll have a look at the documents and information which are generated during the recruiting. After this, we'll have a look on the things which you have to consider during the recruiting process with the documents and information and with the candidates which you get when you do proper recruiting. In the live demo, I'll show you how our business solution ELO HR Recruiting works and the recruiting process looks like in the business solution, and which functions and features you can use for your recruiting process. Then we'll have a look at the benefits of recruiting with ELO, and I'll show you some success stories from our existing customers, how ELO HR Recruiting helped them to make the recruiting process more efficient than before. And then there's time for your questions and the answers for this. And if you have any questions during the webinar, just type it in the questions box on the top right of your GoToWebinar application, and at the end we will answer your questions, well, when we can. I hope we can. So let's have a look at the typical recruiting process in a company. The recruiting process always starts with a request. Somebody in a department requests a new employee. Maybe we had meetings beforehand, or they just need a new employee in the department. So the start of every recruiting process is a request. Doesn't matter when you make it in paper or when you make it with an email. Somebody has a request to somebody who's responsible for hiring new employees. And when the request is approved, then we have a job offer. And the job offer is created and gets published in a job portal or on a job platform. And after this, we will get new candidates. The candidates apply for the position. And then we have to select the best candidates for interviews and rate them. And at the end of the day, a new employee is hired. So that's the typical recruiting process: a request for a new employee in a department or in a branch or something else, a job offer, then new candidates will arrive. We will have some interviews and we will rate the candidates, and at the end of the day, we have a new employee. But there's some things which are generated during recruiting, some documents and some information. So just some examples which information and documents are creating during the recruiting process. So we have personal data like a social security number, phone number, email address, date of birth, home address, school graduation, or a marital status, and so on. Then we have some documents, a cover letter, a CV, emails, which we send to the candidate, or the candidate sends the emails to us. We have a photo, we have some certificates, and at the end of the day, we have a contract. And we have some internal information which are only interesting for us as a company. For example, the personal request. So maybe we could reuse the personal request, because when we hire a new employee in a company, or we make a job offer for a specific position more than once, that we could reuse those personal requests or the job descriptions for the job offers, or some improvements, the notes which we made during the recruiting process, or the ratings. And those documents and information normally are stored somewhere in the company. Emails are on our email server, the documents maybe on a file server, the information which we have in a third-party application, and so on. But there are some things which you have to consider during the recruiting process. First of all, we have the legal requirements. We have to comply with GDPR because we are dealing with personal data. We have to think of deletion and retention periods, or we have to make it possible for the candidates to make an opt-in that we can, well, leave them in the talent pool or something. So those are some legal requirements. They differ from country to country and depends on where you are sitting. Then we have some security things which you have to consider. Access control. Not everybody should have access to personal data stored in your system. So only those who are involved in the recruiting process should have access to the candidate's file. This has to be done with the permissions. And you have to be traceable, because you have to be able to tell who has done what and when with the personal information which you have stored in your application. And then we have some automation things we have to consider. For example, well, we could use workflows, for example, or we could automate the access control, so that we don't have to think of who has access to the candidate's file, who is able to make a job request or a personal request for the HR department, or when I have made a request and we have created a job offer, then it should be automatic published, and well, with the date, and then it's not published anymore. Or we should be able to reuse information, because why should we always write our job offer for new when we have had it in the past? So those are some things to consider, important things, and some things which make your life easier. Important things like legal requirements and security, or automation things which then makes it easier for you to work in the recruiting process. So those are the things which we need for proper recruiting. We have a defined process from a personal request to hiring, which is, well, more or less the same in every company. Then we have some documents and information which are created during recruiting, and it would be nice when we store them in a central repository so that we can find the information more easily. And then we have the legal and the security aspects to consider during the process. And all those things are included with the business solution ELO HR Recruiting. So let's have a look in the business solution ELO HR Recruiting and how it works. So what we see here is our presentation environment, and I have logged in with two different users. One is William Johnson. He's the sales director in our company, and he has a personal request. And the other is Elizabeth Saunders. She's responsible in the company for our recruiting. And the job offers are published in a job portal, and the candidates can apply to the job on a job in this job portal. So the job portal looks like this. Those are the open positions in our company. We have a key account manager, we have a finance accountant, we have working student, and so on. And when we look in the job offer for the key account manager, then we have a typical job offer with a description. Which qualifications do I need? When was it published? So it was published on the 25th of April this year, and here we can apply. And then we have to provide some information, so my name, my email address, or my personal data, my qualifications, my documents. And at the end of the day, I'll get a summary. So this is how you can apply to a job in our company with the ELO job portal, or with the integrated job portal, which comes with the business solution ELO HR Recruiting. Another possibility is to use a job platform like Go Hiring, which then publishes the job offer on other platforms as well, so that you can get more candidates, which works automatically as well. So this is the view for the candidates: a job portal, some job offers, and then we can apply to a job. Well, I know, or I think I know, everybody knows how this works. The other hand, we have the view of our HR department. So as I said, Elizabeth Saunders, she's in the HR department responsible for the recruiting process, and that's her client. And with her client, with her ELO client, which you can see here, she can open the dashboard for the candidates and the positions, which you can find here. When we click on it, then we get an overview over the job offers which are published or have been published in the past. And here we have the job offer for our key account manager. When we click on it, then we get a more detailed view. So we have two applications, or two new candidates for this job for the key account manager, which they did what I showed you earlier. They filled out the form for the job offer. In the overview, which you saw earlier, we also can see how many candidates we have for our job offer. So here we only have 2 candidates, but if you use ELO HR Recruiting more often or a longer time, then you will get new candidates. So that's the view of the HR department. We have job offers and we have the candidates. I'll show you later what we can do with those candidates. And so let's say William Johnson, the sales director in the company, needs a new employee for his department. He needs a new account manager for his department, and he has the approval of the CEO of the company that he can hire a new candidate. So the only thing what he has to do is he has to open his client, and then he has to send a personal request, which can be done with his client, with a tile in his client. So that's William Johnson, the sales director, and he wants to submit the personal request. So when we click on the tile for the personal request, then a new window opens, and then we'll have to give it a name. So let's say we need a new account manager, let's say healthcare. Then a short description. That's not the description which is in the job offer or can be reused as the description. New account manager for healthcare products. Some qualifications. Experienced account manager. Then we have to fill out the category, or we can fill out the category. It's in the sales department. Type of position is permanent. The location, in my case, doesn't make a difference because I only have one location, my headquarters. Then I can define the basic information, the number of positions which are open. In my case, it's only one, but we could write 5 or something in it, because when we're looking for 5 new account managers, then it would make sense to write in here the number of positions open. The time type, full-time, part-time, or full-time or part-time. Start date would be nice when the new employee could start on the 1st of June. In my case, it's not a temporary job offer, it's a permanent. But if it was temporary, then I could fill out the end date as well. Then I can fill out the recommended salary. That's it, 75 to 80,000. Who's the hiring manager? In my case, it's me. The requester, it's me as well. So both times William Johnson. The deadline where we need the job offer. Well, I'm a fair colleague. I don't write the deadline in there. The organization, don't have to fill out anything, but I have to provide a reason why we need a new employee. And here we can, for example, as approved by our CEO in the last meeting or something. Well, a reason for why I need a new employee, because I need one, maybe it doesn't help. So that's the personal request. Just fill out some information. The only information which has to be filled out is a name of the position and the short description of the position. Everything else which I filled out I wouldn't have to do. And then I have to provide a reason as well. So those are the 3 main informations which I need: a description, a name, and a reason. The other things are on top of it. And then I click OK, and that's it for me. So I'm finished, and then I wait until we have the new job offer published. But in the meantime, somebody has to approve my personal request. And in this case, it's the HR department, in this case, Elizabeth Saunders. So let's change to Elizabeth Saunders. And she now, when she goes back, she now has a new task in her task section, because the personal request is a workflow which is started with filling out the form. And here I have to do something with it. So first of all, I have to accept the workflow, and then I can see, okay, William Johnson started a personal request a minute ago. He sent me a personal request for a new account manager for the healthcare products. Then the qualifications: experienced account manager in the sales department, permanent position, started 1st of June. For Contillo Co-op, then he has a comment as approved by our CEO in the last meeting. And then I leave a comment depending on what's my answer. In this case, I confirm the personal request because our CEO has approved it and I don't have to think of it anymore. So I have to provide a comment, and then I click confirm. So that's the personal request. Somebody sends a personal request for a new employee, and in my case, HR department has to confirm the personal request. And then we can create a new job offer. To create a new job offer, this can be done in our dashboard for the candidates and positions as well. So here we have our job offers. Then I have to refresh my window, because then I can see the account manager. Here it is. So here's the personal request for the account manager. And from this personal request, we now can create a new job offer. To do this, I select New. In my case, it's here in Recruiting, and then I create a new posting. Then I select the Account Manager Healthcare. The status is open. Title of posting is the Account Manager Healthcare. The number is generated automatically. And here I can provide a more detailed description on the position. So that's the same as we saw earlier in the job portal, the description and the qualifications. I leave it as it is because that you can see that I'm talking the truth. No, I don't want to bore you with filling out some forms. The status in this case will set it on active, and when I now click OK, then the new job offer is published, or the new posting is published in our job portal. So when we go back to our job portal and we refresh our window, then we should see the Account Manager for Healthcare. So that's how easy it is to create a posting in a job portal, and with the Go Hiring integration, we post it on other platforms as well. In my case, I was too lazy to fill out the form properly, so I don't think that I get many candidates for this job offer or for this posting. But the thing is, you can, or you could, reuse existing job offers which you had in the past. So let's say we had the job offer for the Account Manager Healthcare 6 months ago, and we need a second one, then we can reuse the job offer or the posting for this position a second time. We don't have to invent it every time for new. No, we can reuse existing data. And then the candidates can apply to the job. And when they have applied to the job, then we can start with the rest of the recruiting process. So as we saw earlier, Elizabeth Saunders has 2 new candidates for the key account manager, which honestly, I applied to the job 2 times today in the morning. So we have Jennifer Stone and we have John Sullivan. Both are candidates for the key account manager position. And when I click on Jennifer Stone, then I will get a more detailed view on her data, on her personal data, on her experience, and so on. So this is Jennifer Stone, born 1977, applied to the job. Those are her contact information. She provided a photo as well. Then we have some candidate data here as well. So where we then can see how experienced she is, experience in years, the highest education level, and so on. Then we have the communication tab, and then we have the rating tab. We don't have any ratings yet, because I'll show you how we can make a rating for this. The documents which she provided, a CV and the photo, can be found here in the content area. So that's the CV. She has filled it out properly. So first name, last name, and that's her experience. And that's the form. The first thing what I would do in this case as an HR department, I'm not an HR department, so but I would request a rating for the documents and the experience which Jennifer Stone has. So this can be done here as well. So we have opened Jennifer Stone, then we go on candidate, and then I click on request rating. The first rating which I want to have is for the application documents, but there's some other templates here as well. A personal rating, which I can't do because we didn't invite her yet. Then a final rating or a new questionnaire from scratch. In my case, application documents. I have to add a step in. I would send it to William Johnson. Where's William? And here we can define the rating criteria. So the cover letter and the CV are asked to rate by William Johnson. And when I click OK, then the rating is sent to William Johnson. The same can be done with the second candidate for this position, John Sullivan. John Sullivan has more experience. "25 years. He has a degree. Here's his communication information, and here's the rating information as well. Well, same as with Jennifer Stone. And in the content tab, we can see that he has sent the same CV. So I will request the rating for John Sullivan as well for the application documents from William Johnson, and then click OK. Other things which we can do here, we can schedule an appointment, we can request more information, we can send a normal email, or we can reject the candidate. I wouldn't reject it here so far. So let's have a look on the ratings which William Johnson has to do. For this, we have to change again to William Johnson. And in his client, he has a task section. And with the task section, we can see that my personal request was approved. The second personal request was approved as well. And here are my ratings, which I have to do. So when I click on Rate Candidate, the first candidate which I get is Jennifer Stone. And Elizabeth Saunders requested a rating from me for the cover letter and the CV. So let's see the content. Okay, that's the CV. She didn't send the cover letter, but well, I would say the CV is, well, yes, a 5, and the cover letter, let's say she has sent one, is a 5 as well. Then I click OK, and then the rating is finished. The same can be done with John Sullivan. Well, yes, he's a little bit more experienced, as we can see in this CV. So I would say he's a 6, and cover letter a 5 as well. And that's it. That's the rating which I had to do. And this can be done more than once. So as you saw earlier, we can define different templates. We can rate the documents and the personal appearance, and we can rate the interview as well, and so on. And when you rate a candidate, then they get a ranking. So let's go back to Elizabeth Saunders. Let's go back to Jennifer Stone. And now we should see that she has received a rating, an average 5. Okay. And John Sullivan has received a rating as well, but he's a 5.5 because he's more experienced. And then I would say, okay, they are more than 5. Let's invite them to a telephone interview. So we can schedule an appointment, which then sends an email to the candidate. And when we have scheduled the appointment, or we can do it now as well, we can say, okay, John Sullivan and Jennifer Stone are invited to a telephone interview. So I just simply drag and drop them to the telephone interview section here. And then the state of the candidates change as well. And then we have made the telephone interview. We can request a second rating from William Johnson, who was making, or who made the telephone interview, and then we can request a rating for personnel or just a new questionnaire. And well, the telephone interview with John Sullivan went good. John Sullivan went good, so we'll invite him to an interview. Jennifer Stone, I don't know, maybe we reject her. So, but that's how you can change the states of the candidates in the business solution ELO HR recruiting. Just drag and drop them until you're at the end, and then you have to make a decision. You can make them an offer, and when they're hired, they're here, and when they are rejected, they are here. What happens when we hire the candidate? When we hire our candidate, then the candidate's file will be moved in his personal file. So when you use not only ELO HR Recruiting, but ELO HR personal file, then the candidate's file will be moved to his personal file, and all documents and information is reused in his personal file. When we reject the candidate, then maybe they have given us the approval to use them in or to reuse their file in our candidates pool, which can be found here. So here are the candidates, here are the pools, the talent pool. And maybe we have a job offer for them which fits a little bit better. So you can create your own talent pool within the business solution ELO HR Recruiting. And when you have hired the candidate, then you can move them to the personal file. So that's the business solution ELO HR Recruiting, with a dashboard for an overview over the candidates and the positions, built-in workflows for personal requests, for ratings, for hiring candidates, possibilities to file everything in one place, because the candidates file not only stores the data, but the documents and, for example, the emails as well. And you know where to find them. And when you reject a candidate, then you have to think of deletion periods, retention periods. You have to make sure that you delete all the documents and information after a defined amount of time, so that you meet the legal requirements for personal data. So when we try to go back to our presentation, here it is. So you have a dashboard for central administration for job offers, candidates, and talents. In one view, you can see we have those job offers published, we have closed job offers, we have job offers which we didn't publish yet, and so on. And in the job offers contained are the candidates which applied to this job offer. You can build your own talent pool with the best candidates. Maybe a candidate doesn't fit for one job offer, but maybe it fits for the other. So with the talent pool, you can find out maybe you have a candidate in your candidate pool or in your talent pool, which you can use for another job. You can meet the legal requirements with the built-in functions in ELO, retention periods, deletion periods, personal data, and so on. Those are functions which are built in ELO and can be used or are used in the business solution ELO HR Recruiting. You don't have to think of where did I file the email, is it in my inbox or is it somewhere else? No, it's in ELO, because everything is in one place with a central storage for documents and information. You can find more candidates for your job offers with the built-in integration for Go Hiring and more. So the job offer is not only published on your job portal, but on other platforms as well. And you can use it as it comes. The business solution ELO HR Recruiting So what you saw earlier in the live demo, that's basic functionality of the business solution ELO HR Recruiting out of the box. Or you can customize it as you need it. So maybe you need another step in the workflow, or maybe you want something different. Then you can customize it as you need it, because when it fits more to your company, then you can customize it. So how can you use ELO HR Recruiting? Well, I showed you how you can use it, but I'll show you another example how a customer of us uses it. So we have a customer, and he has 4 branches, and the customer is an Austrian company. They had some issues with their recruiting process. They have a headquarter with an HR department, but the HR department said, okay, when you need new employees, then we will create the job offers for you, but the recruiting process is in the branch. So the candidates apply for a job, and the candidate's file is in the branch. So that's what happened. They have different job offers, and they have different candidates for their job offers. So let's say in the headquarters, they were looking for a account manager. In the branch, they were looking for a health and safety advisor, and so on. Every branch managed its own recruiting. So what happened? Some candidates would maybe fit in a position in another branch, but the other branch didn't know that there was a candidate in this branch which would fit the position. They had no candidates for their job offer in the branch, but the other had. And well, that's not a big thing, because we won't even know. But the other thing, and that's the reason why they bought the business solution ELO HR Recruiting at the end, they really had the problem that candidates applied for 3 different jobs in 3 different locations. So they applied for the job in location A, in location B, and in the headquarters. And then it happened that a candidate got 2 offers for 2 different positions, or for the same positions in 2 different locations. And then they said, this can't happen, because we have an overview. We need a central overview of our candidates. And then, since they use the business solution ELO HR Recruiting, they don't have those things anymore, because every branch can manage its own recruiting process. Yeah, the HR department has the overview, but they have a pool of candidates where they can say, okay, we have this job offer and we have this qualifications, and here we have those candidates. Maybe in the candidate pool or in the talent pool, we find someone who already applied to a job in our company or applied in another branch, and then maybe we invite him or her to an interview. So that's only one example how ELO HR Recruiting can help to improve the recruiting process and make it more efficient, and to prevent some things like applying for 2 jobs in 3 locations. If you want to find out more for our references, then you can use our reference finder on our homepage, which you can find here. And if you want to know more about the business solution ELO HR Recruiting, then I would suggest that you go on our website, find a partner, which you see here how it works. And then when you have found your partner, then you can contact your partner immediately, because we have partners all over the world, and I'm sure that some partner is near you. So That's it with the business solution ELO HR Recruiting. Now it's time for the questions and answers, and we have 2 questions already. First question is, which hiring platform can be integrated? So with the business solution ELO HR Recruiting comes the integration for Go Hiring. Go Hiring is a platform which then spreads your job offers to different other platforms as well. If there is another integration needed, then we can customize it so that you can use other platforms as well. Maybe there's a platform in your country which is very strong. Then we can manage it to publish your job offers there as well. So in standard Go Hiring integration, but customizable other integrations as well. Second question is, can we reuse existing data from a third-party application? Yes, you can. If you have a third-party application which you already use for your recruiting process, or some ERP or CRM where you store your information, you can reuse those informations as well. And you can use the third-party application furthermore, because we then just use the data from there and manage the documents and information in a central storage. So that's it. When there are no more questions, then I would say thank you for your attention. And well, that's it with the business solution ELO HR Recruiting and how you can make your recruiting more efficient.
Edgar Gressel, thank you for the interesting presentation. I would like to draw your attention to our upcoming webinars. On the web seminar website elo.com/webinars. Here you can register until 1 hour before the webinar starts. And here are a few upcoming webinars. Thanks again to all attendees. I wish you all the best. See you soon.